Hello, I'm Carl, and this is ProCycle Tech Talk. We're coming at you from the world headquarters of ProCycle here in wonderful Springfield, Oregon. Today we're going to talk about secondary lubricants, things that aren't your primary lubricants. Primary lubricants are like the engine oil you use, the chain lube. We're going to talk about other things that need periodically to be lubricated. Some things just get overlooked. We got three details we're going to look at, three issues we're going to look at, but first we're going to start off with something that people really don't think about, and that's on your riding gear, lubricating the zippers. The zippers, this is all-weather gear. You're always out in all kinds of weather. It gets exposed to the harsh weather just like you and the rest of the bike is. This is designed to protect you, but the zippers, the snaps, the hardware is always exposed to harsh weather when you're out riding in those conditions. And you've had it where the zippers have gotten tough to pull up and down. The snaps don't want to go in anymore. They're always resistant. And it's just it's a struggle. It's just frustrating. So we have discovered some stuff that's made for snaps and zippers, and it's called Snap and Zipper Lubricant, and it works incredibly well. You have little snaps here like on the shoulder. As we got there, they're tough to pull apart. They're tough to put back together. And we had found if we just take a little bit of this lubricant and put on our finger there, just a little bit, and we just kind of rub around inside there and on the snap, all of a sudden everything gets real easy to connect, real easy to open up. Again, that's just easy to connect, easy to open up. With zippers, a little bit more effort, but it's easy to do. You want to take your zipper and you want to zip it up all the way. And we're just going to take a little bit of this lubricant and we're going to just kind of go right down the line there where we just put a little bit of the lubricant and it will spread itself out. And we take the zipper and we roll it up and down a few times and it gets easy to use. And plus, when you find at the bottom where you got to take it apart and put it back together, sometimes that's a struggle. Now that's a lot easier to do too. So zipper lube for snaps, for your luggage, for your riding gear, this is something you got to consider. It makes just living with all this gear a lot easier. Next on our list, we're going to talk about cable lubrication. You got clutch cables, you got throttle cables, and quite often this gets overlooked. We've seen where people have tried to take like the chain lube or something and spray it down inside the top of the cable. That gets frustrating and it also gets very messy. We got a couple devices we've discovered here. Motion Pro makes some great products that we've just designed for lubricant, and one that we really like a lot. This one's called the Cable Luber Pumper, Lube Serve number 3. And it's 3 products. We've got a top, we've got a bottom, and it also has a rubber seal, which has a spiral cut, and you put it around the cable thusly, and you get it, and it bases down kind of tight there, and we just kind of get that up into the base. We make sure we take a little pin or something and push this plunger. We push it all the way back in. What we want to do is when we get that on and we get the base housing up, we fill this up with a little bit of the lubricant. You take and you screw this on kind of nice and tight where everything is sealed around the top of the cable, and you press that plunger down. That forces the lubricant into the cable housing, and then your cable starts working a lot easier. The other one that's always been popular to use from way back in the day is the standard type cable lubricator, and that just goes around the cable thusly, and you would tighten it down. It has a couple little clamps. We tighten it down, and then it has like a little access hole we would take and spray the lubricant into. You could use dry slide, and that's real great for lubricating cables, as well as we've discovered a new product called Cable Life. It's kind of a little bit of a different kind of a chain lube, and it's got the aerosol stick button. You could attach to the end and you could get that and spray it inside there, or you could spray it inside the lubricant here. Either way, you're going to get your cables lubed, and that's going to be longer life, better function and performance, ease of performance with your clutch cable, throttle cables, something you should look at periodically. Next, we'll be moving into the shop to talk about a lube you've never thought of. Hey, here we are out in the shop. We're looking at the forked seals on a DR650. And one thing we've never thought about is lubricating inside of the forked seal. That's something that really aids in the performance. One thing we should talk about here real quick is when you're on suspension compression and the suspension goes down and the suspension goes back up, as you remember from installing fork seals, they're very tight. They don't want to go up and down. When you get into those zones where you've got a little bit of compression and the front end wants to chatter and go up and down, that fork seal becomes very resistant. That's where some people feel like a real harsh reply. It doesn't want to compress because the fork seal is dragging. There is a lubricant that's made for the inside of fork seals, which allows this to glide freely up and down, long motion, short motoring, chattering motions, doesn't matter. This fork seal lubricant that's for the inside of the fork seal is a fantastic upgrade you got to look at. But before we do that, what we want to do is clean the inside of the fork seal, get all the grime and everything out. So you want to get a seal mate that we have, and I'll show you real easy how this works. You just take that little hooked end, and we're just going to press it down inside the fork seal, and it's designed to go in there, and you just kind of swirl it around a little bit. I'm just kind of doing this, and then when you pull it out, you see we got some grime on the end there. It's pulling out all the grime from in between the fork tube and the fork seal, and again, it just kind of presses down inside there. Like I said, it's made to do that, and you can get it down where you say that's a pretty good distance and just kind of walk it around. May take you 2 or 3 times, but you'll get, there it is, more grime. Gets all that grime out of in between the fork seals. That grime is what's going to cause the fork seals to pit and to tear and eventually start leaking oil, and then you got to replace them again. So cleaning them with a seal mate periodically is a smart way to make sure we never have fork seal issues. Okay, now lubricating the inside of the fork seal. It's best to do when you're reassembling the forks. If you're taking them apart to put in a Race Tech compression kit, one of the gold valve kits, which is a great upgrade, or you're replacing your fork seals as sometimes they need it. Lubricating the inside of the fork seal lip, that's the prime time to do it. But if you have it here and where it's already assembled and you've cleaned your fork seals, there's an easy way to lubricate it. Is get the fork seal mate in there, and then you take a little skinny screwdriver and we could press between the fork tube and the seal. You get on over here, you might see there's a little bit of a gap, and that's where we could take some of this lubricant that's designed and we could start working it in. Just going around with that again with the fork seal and the screwdriver, allowing us to get a little bit of lubricant between the fork tube and the fork seal. That's going to make the fork action sliding up and down, especially in the real short strokes, just glide real smooth, real easy. And you want to get some of this. That's a strong consideration just to make your fork performance so much better. Real quick, we also want to talk, how does the dirt get inside here? All fork boots have little vent holes on the back. And the vent holes are designed as the forks compress, it squeezes the air out, and when they expand, they suck some air back in. So these things don't act like balloons and just go all over the place, you know, if they were airtight. But these little holes in the back, which do a great function of letting the air out, letting the air in, when air draws back in, if you're on a dusty road, it sucks the dust in. And so you could see I got my hand up inside here and how filthy it is on the inside of that fork tube from all the dirt and grime and everything getting up inside there and not having a way to escape. That's how the grime eventually works its way down inside the fork seals and creates fork damage. If you got the option, get rid of the fork boots. They look great, they're nice, but we want to get the fork skin or the dirt skins. We want to get these. They attach around the bottom tight. They're a nice Velcro piece that you could put it around real tight around the bottom and get it to the size you want. They're Velcro or neoprene, so it allows you to get it real tight, and they got a zip tie around the top. Not only does it prevent air from getting in and out, but as these slide up and down, the function at the top here will clean the fork tube every time it slides up and down, giving you a little extra protection. And hey, as always, thank you for watching. And don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our news channel. And click that like button and give us a positive response. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And remember, as always, your adventure begins here.